Okay, so everything was scheduled for one day on a Tuesday, and the Wednesday before, Madeline, you decided to come. Stephanie texted me about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and just said, hey, my tummy's hurting, my back's hurting, and I'm a little nauseous. Just FYI. It took me a minute to know how to respond. It took me a minute to try to formulate a text, but I decided very quickly that I should probably start packing. So I start running around back and forth through the house, packing my stuff. I text Stephanie, showing her what I've packed, and asked her for a list. She sends me a list, so I think we're all good. Turns out she's at work laughing with her friends, thinking there's no way baby's coming. But something inside me knew.
Okay, so I started not feeling great, and I sent Eric that text at 2 o'clock. Then my appointment was at 4:15. I was in a staff meeting, and I had to leave early to get to the doctor, and I still wasn't feeling great. And as I was driving along, I remember at one point thinking, man, this really kind of hurts. It doesn't feel great. If it hurt much worse than this, I don't know if I'd be able to be driving right now. That's interesting. So then I get to my appointment, and they call me back and go into the room, and the nurse asks how I'm doing, and I tell her, and she checks my blood pressure, and she was like, oh, that's high. I don't remember exactly what it was, but my blood pressure normally runs really low, and it was high right now. I left the room for me to change. I changed. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting, and I could hear Dr. Reyes in the hallway on the phone, and I just heard her saying, yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and send her over now. Yeah, go ahead and get it ready. And then she opened the room. She opened the door. She came in. She asked how I was feeling. I told her, and she said, okay, I'm just going to send you on over. We're going to have a baby now. I was like, oh, what?
So I met Stephanie in the parking lot at the hospital. We got stuff loaded into the car. The girls came up. We gave them lovin's, and then we went up to the room. It was like this little triage room, and they got her hooked up with monitoring stuff for the baby, did blood work, did paperwork.
By the time they took me back, my contractions were 2 to 3 minutes apart, so apparently I was in labor.
Yeah, pretty much. So they took her back. They came back and got me once they got her situated, and we had a baby.
So Madelyn Mae was born at 8:12 p.m., weighing 6 pounds, 8.6 ounces, and 18.75 inches.
They took Madeline, they put her on like the warming tray, they were checking her stats out. They called me over, I went over and checked her out, and at that point, that's when we finally started getting the story that her oxygen stats were a little low. They wheeled us back into the triage labor and delivery room that we were just already in, because they were so crowded. We were in there for maybe a couple of minutes, tried skin to skin. That didn't really work. So at this point, you'd seen Madeline for a whole
minute and a half.
Yeah. And so they wheeled her to the NICU. I went along with her, and they monitored the stats.
Back.
Yeah, so you stayed back in the room by yourself?
I did.
And what were you doing during that time?
Trying to figure out what we could have for dinner because I had nothing else to do besides worry.
They kicked me out of that room to do like chest x-rays. The whole time, they weren't worried, they were just confused and baffled is really, I think, the right wording for that. I set up in the postpartum room together.
The new wing.
And then Madeline got to us
at like 1:15 a.m., 5 hours later.
Yeah, because her stats had all normalized. She'd had a bottle. Everything was great. And really, we haven't had any issue since.
She's pretty perfect.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. And you have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No, no, no. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No, 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 no. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. Yeah. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't